Hello and welcome to this Beyond Shakespeare exploring session, where today we're looking at plays 9 and 10 from the Chester Mystery Cycle. We've been looking at these plays all week. Hopefully those videos of the previous plays are already online for you to watch. If not, watch this space because they will be coming soon. Last time we looked at plays 7 and 8, and 8 finished with King Herod having a proper temper tantrum. It was all quite turbulent. So we're going to move on now into play 9 and see if it's just as turbulent or whether everyone calms down a bit. And helping me to explore today is this wonderful room full of readers. Reading Mary and Herod today, we have
Alan in Suffolk.
Reading First King Primus, Miles, or First Soldier and Demon is
Lynn in California, USA.
Reading Second King and Secundus, Miles is
Hi, my name's Elizabeth Amisu and I'm based in Essex.
Reading Third King, Angel, Doctor, another angel, and Secundus Mulier, which I think is Second Woman, is
Hi, I'm Eric, and I will be angelic today, or try to be at least.
And I am your host, Sarah Blake. I will be reading Joseph Preco and Primus Mulier, First Woman. And I am again stepping in for Robert Crighton, who clearly isn't here today, but fret not, he'll be back soon. So let's get going with play 9 of the Chester Cycle. This is the Mercers play, the Mercers being grocers, and it looks like it's going to be the story of the three kings. So, First King, when you're ready, take it away.
Mighty God and most of Maine, to honor thee we may be fain. The star I see, it coming again, that was out of our sight.
Thy lordship to us thou nay lame, that for mankind would suffer pain. Thou send us grace if thou be game, to come to thee tonight.
Lord, honored be thou. For now we shall well know the way. I will follow in it in good faith, my forward to fulfill.
I hope without dread today to see that child in his array. But methinks, lords, by my faith, the star, it standeth still.
That is a sign we be near, but high halls see I none here. To a child of such power, this housing standeth low.
Now, well I wot, without a word, without pride, he will appear to make men meek in such manner an example as to show.
The star yonder over the stable is. I wot we be not gone amiss, for it hath stirred ever or this, and now there it is glent.
I wot he wons here iwis, and this simple house is his. Ordain we now that King of bliss, apertly are present.
What present best will for him? What present best will for him fall? Cast we here betwixt us all, for though he lie in an ox stall, his might is nevertheless.
King of Jews we shall him call, therefore of me have he shall, that I am his subject and his thrall, gold ere I pass. For in our land is the manner to approach no king near, but dainty gifts, rich and dear, after his dignity. And for a king, gold clean and clear is most commendable. Therefore, now here he shall have that of me. Also it seems by this place that little treasure his mother has. Therefore, to help her in this case, gold shall be my present.
And I will offer through God's grace incense that noble savour has. Stench of the stable it shall wast, there as they be lent.
And myrrh is best mine offering to be, to anoint him, as things mean, the child's members, head and knee, and other limbs all. Thus shall we honour him all three with things that falls to his degree, touching manhood and deity, these gifts well before.
And I'm just going to break us there. because that seems to be a good place to just pause and talk about the setup. And it's all sounding quite familiar at the moment. I think we haven't had any major surprises. We've had the introduction of the three. Well, we did meet the three kings in the last play. They met Herod, they were horrified, and they backed out of the room very, very quietly. But now they seem to be coming into their own a bit more. Yeah, everything just seems to be a lot calmer than it was at the end of play 8. What are people's thoughts about this? Anybody? Alan?
Yeah, I mean, the first scheme has again changed. It is a much more placid
Yeah.
style of verse, whereas there was on the previous play there was certainly a heck of a lot of very dynamic verse in there, which really gave it a lot of momentum. And it almost feels like this one is, right, we're now going to have a play which is going to just bring it down a bit, and everybody can actually get their pulse rate back to somewhere near normal.
Yes, I think that's. I wonder if that's intentional. I mean, I know each guild developed their play separately, but I wonder if people knew that the Vintner's play was, going to require a glass of wine afterwards and a bit of a sit down. And so this is just bringing us all back to normal, and like you say, letting everyone's heart rate recover after the storming about of Herod in the previous play. The other thing I'm noticing is that so far, it might change, of course, but that so far there isn't the same amount of differentiation between the characters. We were talking in play 7 about the fact that the shepherds in the shepherd's play were quite nicely differentiated. But we don't have that here really with the kings. No, it's not just me being harsh then. It's like
a tradition of them of each king coming from a different region of the world, and then we're not quite through with this bit, but they each have a different. The scripture mentions gold, frankincense, and myrrh, and then tradition assigns one gift to each king. But they all, despite their different geographic origins and tradition and their different gifts, they really do seem to be sort of a chorus.
Yes, they do. They are definitely all singing from the same hymn sheet. Which, I mean, to be fair, if they've all just run into Herod, maybe they would be, even if they weren't before. It'd be like they'd just all be so relieved to get away. Although I'm not really getting any sense of urgency about it. Like, it's quite leisurely, as Alan said. The rhyme scheme's quite placid, but we'll see. Maybe it'll stay that way. Maybe it will change. Let's carry on with the first king.
Oh, have we done myrrh? I thought, did we?
Yes, we did. So now we're on You Say Well, Lords Wyterley.
Oh. You say well, Lords Wyterley. As touching gold, prove may I, it should be given him duly because of temporality. Sith he had been king most mighty, he shall be king most mighty. Tribute he must have truly, and gold therefore Wyterley is best, as thinks me.
And sith he hath in him Godhead, methinks best as eat I bread, incense to give him through my reed in name of sacrifice. For that may no way be led, sith he of holy church is head. More due gifts, if I should be dead, I cannot devise.
You say full well, sirs, both too, and myrrh, methinks, is good also. Sith he for man will suffer woe and die on good tree, myrrh that puts sin him fro, and saves man from rotting woe. For it is best to balm him, though, that he shall have of me.
By these gifts 3 of good array, 3 things understand I may. A king's power, sooth to say, by gold here in my hand, and for his Godhead, lastly, incense we must give him today, and bodily death also in good faith, by myrrh I understand.
Gold love also may signify, for it men given not commonly, but there they love in heartfully, this child as we done all. and incense tokeneth Levi, orisons and prayers done devoutly. Myrrh, death that man hath bodily, and all these him shall fall.
By gold that we to bring are bound, the richest metal, that richest metal of renown. Skillfully understand we most precious Godhead, and incense, well may be said, a root of great devotion. By myrrh that waves corruption, clean flesh both quick and dead, and sickly this known we, he wants none of these three for full Godhead in him as gold may signify. And so devout in him must be to come out of the Trinity, and clean flesh we hope to see in him full hastily.
Oh, we have proved it here. These gifts to him be most dear. Go we forth in good manner, and make him our present.
The star it shines fair and clear, over this stable eye entire. Here is his wanting withouten were, and herein is he lent.
A fair maiden yonder I see, an old man sitting at her knee, a child also, as thinks me. 3 persons them are.
I say in certain this is he that we have sought from our country. Therefore now, with all honesty, honor I will that baron.
And we have a stage direction. They come to the stable, and we'll just pause there before they encounter Mary and Joseph. Yeah, it's kind of soporific, this, isn't it? It's kind of lovely in a way. There's some lovely imagery. I don't know if it's me looking for stuff that isn't there, but it does seem to me that like there's a little bit of jostling over who's got the best gift.
A little bit,
yeah. But then they're all so nice. They're all so nice because they do a little bit of jostling early on, and then they're all like, "Oh yeah, no, your gift's best. Yeah, no, yeah, no, your gold's best. No, your myrrh's best. It's it's blissful harmony, isn't it? In comparison to what we've had before. If you've watched the previous video on plays 7 and 8, we had the shepherds in play 7 coming to see the baby Jesus, and even though that is also usually portrayed as quite a sort of solemn and awe-inspiring and calm and still occasion, it was actually portrayed in a very different way in the play. They were squabbling over wages, and they were eating tons, and then there was some wrestling and fighting and people being thrown to the ground. So and then in play 8 we had Herod and all his craziness. So this is really like quite a contrast to what we've had before. What do people think?
Yes, and it's sort of scholarly or intellectual. I mean, the Middle Ages was really big on biblical exegesis and the layers of meaning in different stories. And so gold, frankincense, and myrrh aren't just valuable commodities in this culture. They each have a sort of symbolic function. Gold is for his sense, is a symbol of his of Jesus' temporal power, and the incense of his position as head of the church, and then myrrh, which was used in preparing bodies for funerals, in embalming. So it symbolizes the fact that he has to undergo bodily death and suffering in order to fulfill his redemptive role. So the author here is like doing his little biblical exegesis and like reading this symbolism for us. So yeah, it's sort of more cerebral than the other 2 plays.
Yeah, cerebral and stately, most definitely. Yeah, and again, I'm wondering how this would have been staged. But Eric, you have something to say.
Yeah, no, I hadn't realized this before, but I mean, with all these plays where obviously you're gonna watch, like, at some point throughout these play cycles, we're going to see like Christ grow up and die and on the cross and so on. It basically, like, this kind of makes me think of a death cult. Like, it is that thing of like, well, we brought you stuff to like, because gold is valuable, and then you've got frankincense, and then, well, myrrh is basically like for the, I don't know, it just sort of.
It's a weird
made me
gift to
think
bring a
of that.
baby.
Although you could sell it, I guess, but I mean, it's kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it's not a weird gift to bring that particular baby, perhaps, although it is foreshadowing, obviously, his end. But then, if you're a Christian, it's not the end, is it? It's the beginning. So I guess the audience would have taken this in quite a pragmatic way. Yes, Eric.
I was just gonna say, but in some, as far as I remember, in some Russian fairy tales, which I've read a lot of, there's like death lullabies where you kind of sing to children about death so that death stays away. So I guess that you could see this as a reversal as well, sort of like, yeah.
Yeah, that's a really interesting parallel. I hadn't thought of that. It's like, putting it there in order to banish it, sort of like, keep it away. Alan, your hand is up.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the Shepherd's play, so play 7, we did have this situation where we were commenting that the shepherds had actually given practical gifts.
Yeah.
There was a bell, there was clothing, and now we get the posh types who are actually giving stuff which has got symbolic rather than useful.
Yes. Like I suppose the gold might be quite handy for Mary and Joseph for buying nappies, but yes, it's all very symbolic and cerebral. But it's quite a nice change. Anyway, the wise men have come to the stable. So let's see what happens to them now they're there. And once again, we kick off with the first king.
Hail be thou, Lord Christ, and must say that from God art common kindly, mankind of bale to forbay, into bliss bring. We know well by prophecy of Moses, David, and Isai, and Balaam of our ancestry of Jews, thou shalt be king. Therefore, as fallen for thy crown, gold have I here, ready bound to honor thee with great renown after thy royalty. Take here, Lord, my intention, that I do with devotion, and give me here thy benison, ere that I go from thee.
Hail be Christ Emmanuel, thou common Arthur man's heel, and for to win again that whale that Adam put away. Prophets of thee every one say, both Isai and Ezekiel, and Abraham might not conceal the sooth of thee to say. Bishop, I wot thou must be, therefore now, as thinks me, incense will fall best for thee, and that now here I bring, in tokening of thy dignity, and that office of spirituality, receive here, Lord, at me, devoutly mine offering.
Hail, conqueror of all mankind, to do mercy thou hast mind, the devil's band to unbind, and relieve all thine. A full fair way thou can find to horse us and put him behind, though thy passion to unbind thy people that be in pine. For thou shalt mend us through thy might, die and rise the third night, to recover again our right, and break the devil's band. Myrrh, to thee have I died, to balm thy body fair and bright. Receive my present, sweet wight, and bless me with thy hand.
You royal kings in rich array, the high Father of heaven I pray, to yield you your good deed today for this mickle night, and give you now will and alway to yearn the life that lasts a day, and never to fall out of the fay that in your heart is pipe. And leave us, lords, without and wear, that to my son you shall be dear, that him today hath honoured here, and me also for his sake. When time is come entire, to prove his strength and his power, to him you shall be lief and dear, that dare I undertake.
You kings all comely of kind, full faithfully you shall it find, this mensk that God will have in mind, and quite you well your meed. and leaves well, of no man's strind, is he not gotten by leaf of kind, that so believen are full blind, for I know it indeed. This maid was betaken me when I had lost my jollity, and failed might and posty sin for to assay. But for God would in chastity that we should together be keeper of her virginity, I have been many a day. Therefore I wot forsooth, Iwis, clean maiden that she is, and with man did never amiss, and therefore and thereof be you bold. But of the Holy Ghost this is, for to bring mankind to bliss, and this child is very his. So Gabriel me told.
I warn you, comely kings three, my lord would you not spilled be. Therefore he sends you word by me to turn another way. Herod's fellowship you shall flee, for you harm ordained has he. Therefore goes not through his country, nay the gate you come today.
Ah, high lord, that we honor here, that warns us in this manner, else we had wend without weir to him that would us spill.
Yea, Lord, as thou can us live, we will do to our power.
Go we heathen all in fear, and his bidding fulfill.
Farewell, Sir Jasper, brother to you, King of Tharsis most worthy. Farewell, Sir Balthazar, to you I bow. I thank you for your company. He that made us to meet on plain and offered to marry, and her just saying, send us safe and sound again to the land we came fro.
You kings, I say you veriment, sith God have of his grace you hither sent. We will do his commandment, whatsoever may befall. Therefore stand we not in doubt, for to walk our land about, and of his birth that we may moot, both to great and small.
Farewell, Sir Kings, both in fear. I thank you both of your good cheer, yet my wit in a weir, lest Herod make us some train. He that choketh sea and sand, send us safe into our land. Kings, do give me your hand. Farewell and have a good day.
And with that, the play ends. Short and sweet. We have a little bit of foreboding there at the end when the angel comes and warns them not to go back through Herod's land because he is on the warpath. They kind of knew that already, though. But other than that, it has a great serenity to it. I think this play, Elizabeth.
Yeah, you used the word soporific. You used the word serene, and I was thinking of solemn.
Yeah.
I was thinking like it has like a great solemnity to it. Like this is more like it's like a holy version of the text, as opposed to Herod when it was all like throwing things out of the pram and kind of getting rowdy. And then I was really thinking about like the hierarchizing of the three kings, because I was thinking of like those paintings. I think they're called the Adoration of the Magi.
Yeah.
And they used to have, I only came across them because they used to paint a brown one, so there used to be a black thing. And then after slavery happened, they kind of like got rid of that. They were like, no, we don't want any of those. And I was just thinking about the hierarchizing of the kings and their gifts. At first, I was thinking that gold was obviously the most important gift, but there's a lot of making of trying to make them equal. Showing how important they all are, which I've never really seen before, and I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, it was. There was amazing harmony through it. Somebody said earlier it was. Sorry, I can't remember who it was. Someone said they're like a chorus. Was that you, Lynn? And it's like you could almost set this to music, I think, and the fact that the rhyme doesn't break at all through it. It stays triple A B, triple A B, triple A B. No matter who is speaking, even when Mary and Joseph and the angel appear, they stick in the same rhyme scheme. And yeah, it's just kind of beautiful, isn't it? Solemn's a good word, and has a kind of very spiritual atmosphere that, let's face it, we haven't really seen. We certainly didn't see it in 6, 7, and 8, which were the ones we've been doing prior to this. Who had their hand up? Somebody had their hand up. Eric, and then Alan.
I was going to say Alan was first, but I mean.
Oh, Alan, you go first, then I'll come back to you.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking, with the exception of some of the words which have migrated in terms of spelling and pronunciation, you could actually pull that play and do it as a primary school play pretty well, because it's nice and gentle, it's dum-de-dum-de-dum rhythms, and I think it wouldn't need kids to be that advanced in terms of ability to actually be able to do it. And the costume designer would probably have quite a lot of fun with it, so that would please Lynn. Because the differentiation, whereas before the shepherds, as we said, had got individual characters, you could actually see, and they actually had names given them.
They did.
Yeah, well,
Whereas in this one, I think names did actually occur briefly in this one.
Yeah, we did.
Here, its costume would be the differentiator.
Yeah, we did definitely have one name, but I can't remember where. But the Balthazar as well. He crops up at the end there. Lynn. Oh, sorry, Eric. No, Eric.
No, it's okay. Because I think Lynn was going to interrupt about this. So.
Okay, all right. Yeah, go for it.
They're in the Bible, but Casper or Gaspar, Melchior, and Balthazar are the traditional names of the three Magi. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Eric.
I was going to say that it's interesting. This is the sort of more solemn one, because I would think that the one, I mean, obviously the shepherds are kind of boisterous and that kind of thing, because they're rural versus urban, I guess. But it's kind of that thing of I would expect the shepherds one to be more solemn, because they have nothing. They're literally giving like a bell and a hat and like it's all they have. Whereas these guys came prepared. They're like and they're actually kind of, well, as Alan said, posh. They're like better off. The only problem they face is Herod, basically, and having to go like a different path. Like, sort of, they need a different GPS.
Yes, having to take the long way around on the way home. Yeah, it's interesting though, isn't it? Because certainly in play 6 and then in play 8, and I don't know, I think we had some we did in 7 as well. In the previous 3 mystery plays in this cycle, the sort of higher born characters have lapsed into, well, French mainly, Old French or occasionally Latin, but that didn't happen here. We've got these 3 very high status characters in a play that kind of reflects their status in its stateliness, but we didn't have any of that that strange sudden transposition into a different language as we've had in the past, that we think maybe might have denoted a high status character. So that's interesting. Well, it does have a very different tone to the others. Sorry, Eric.
No, I was going to say, well, in this play though, they're kind of basically bowing to the creator and the powers of creation and so on. So it kind of, French or Latin or whatever it was would not be useful. It's like, because in the past the people have spoken French, aside, I think they did too, to greet like Herod, but it was kind of more for showing off purposes, like Octavian and sort of Herod were kind of like not people you're meant to like.
True. Yeah, these three are quite likable, aren't they? They don't have a lot of differentiation between them, but overall they work really nicely as a harmonious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's something
Yeah.
sort of choric and
Mm,
musical about this little
mm,
passage.
mm,
I
mm,
mean, and then even the rhyme scheme tends to, I
mm.
think, just
Yeah.
a little like chorus and verse.
Mm. And you could stage it in a very beautiful. I think you'd really want to play up the beauty. Alan was talking earlier about the costumes. You'd really want to make this um, like quite as rich as you possibly could. I mean, this was the Mercers. This is the grocers who were putting this on. So I guess they probably had quite full coffers. They could afford to hire someone, there's no mention of music in any stage directions, but I think, yeah, you'd want music, and just to make it as spiritual and as tranquil and as awe-inspiring as you could. And it's a really short one as well, so it's like a little beautiful quiet interlude before we then go into play 10, which is the goldsmith's play. When we're back to Herod, we are.
Elizabeth wants to say something, I think, about this.
Yes,
Before,
sorry,
no, I mean,
Elizabeth.
before we get to, sorry.
Yeah.
Eric, thank you, Sarah. But just briefly, we were talking about divinity and kingship and like the regalness of Christ. And this the fact that like the three kings coming to him to pay homage is like reaffirming his kingship. And they talk about being king. They talk about being king of the Jews, but then Eric was talking about the creator and the greatness of the creator and like being God and the Godhead. And I was just thinking that maybe that has something to do with the fact that then maybe they didn't use the French or the Latin.
Yeah. It's a good insight. And yeah, could be. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, we were so surprised when the French turned up. Back in play 6, we're all cynical and past it now. We're like, oh yeah, there's no French in this one. But yeah. But that could be why there isn't any. Yeah. Okay. Does anyone else have anything to add about this? It's really quite beautiful little play. No? Okay. Right. So I'm afraid. Well, I'm guessing. I haven't read ahead. I don't know what's coming next. But I am guessing that the we've had the calm, and now we're going to get the storm. Yeah, because we're moving on to play 10, the Goldsmith's play, which has a little Latin inscription at the beginning. It says, Pagina decima de occasione innocentium ex heredis tyrannica persuasione. Please apologize. I do apologize for my Latin pronunciation. You'll have to forgive me. And I have Googled this, and apparently it means page 10, so 10th play, on the killing of the innocents by the tyrannical persuasion of the heir, of course, being Herod. So fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night. Let's get stuck in, and we start straight away with the main man, Herod.
'Tis prelates of price, barons in Blamner and in Bis. Beware of me, all that be wise, that wields all at my will. Say no man anything is his, but only at my device. For all this world lies to spare and eke to spill. My subjects are all that here be set, barons, burgess, and baronet. Be's bane to me or you is let, and at my bidding be. Believes all this without and let, that I will do as I have het, mar that misbegotten marmoset that thinks to mar me. Those false traitors that me behight to have come again this same night, by another way have taken their flight. This way durst they not take. Therefore that boy, by God Almighty, shall be slain soon in your sight. And though it be again the right, 1,000 for his sake. Thus what purpose had that page that is so young and tender of age, that would bereave my heritage, that am so mickle of might? Forsooth, that shrew was wondrous sage, against me any war to wage. That rocket ribald, for all his rage, shall not reave me my right. If it may no other be, that these kings are gone from me, and that shrew would have my sovereignty, I think put him again. All the knave children in this country shall by his guile so mote I thee, because I know not which is he. All for his sake shall be slain. Pretty prate, my messenger, come hither to me without and wear, for thou must go with hasty beer into Judee this day, after my doughty and comely knights, and bid them hie with all their mights, and that they let for no fights, bring them without delay.
And we have Preco. Is
I think
that
that's
me?
you.
Oh, that's me. Okay. I better say something then. Yes, my lord of great renown, to do your hest I am bound, likely to leap over dale and down, and speed if I were there. Farewell, my lord, in majesty, for on my journey I will hie me.
Almighty Mahon be with thee, and ever to dwell in fear.
How awake out of your sleep, Sir Grimbaldi and Sir Launcher Deep, and to me you take good keep, for hither I am sent. My Lord King Herod begins to swoon, for a shrew would have his crown, and thus bereave him of his renown, and soon would have him shend.
Welcome, messenger, that art so gent. These tidings which my lord hath sent, they be welcome veriment. With thee now I will wend.
Messenger, I will in good faith wend with you this ilk way, to hear what my lord will say of this matter to make an end.
Hail, comely king, sitting on high, here be thy knights coming to thee, that be men of great degree, to hear of your talent.
Messenger, for thy good deed, right well shall I quite thy meed. I have here of me to do thee speed, right a gay garment.
Grant mercy, Lord Regent, well am I pleased to mine intent, mighty Mahound that I have meant, keep you in this stead.
Sir Launcher, deep he, what say ye? This is the fairest king that ever I see.
This day under the sun shining, is there none so seemly a king?
Hail, comely king, crowned in gold, each king and Caesar kens not your bet. If any were that with your worship fight would, such strokes for your sake full sore shall be set.
If him we may take or get, the devil ought him debt, and so life shall be quit. Such masteries for to make.
Welcome our knights that be so gent. Now will we tell you our intent. What is the cause we for you sent so soon and hastily? Yesterday to this city, when we were in our royalty, there came to us kings 3, and told us their intent. To seek a child that born should be, that was said by prophecy, that should be king of Judee, and many another land. We gave them leave to search and see, and come again to this city, and if he were of such degree, we would not him withstand.
And I'm just going to stop there, or break you off in the middle of your speech, Alan, because we're gonna move on in a moment. We're gonna have another character entering, so I just wanted to stop there and just check in with everybody. Straight back into the turbulence.
Mm-hmm.
I got the impression there that Herod's tantrum hadn't stopped from the end of play 8. He just while we've been away, we've been off with the kings, being all chill, and he's just continued to rant and storm and wave his sword around and chop things up in our absence, because he went straight for it. Eric was talking in the chat about the alliteration and the plosives. Do you want to elaborate on that, Eric? And then I'll go to Lynn.
Well, I can't remember what it was, but it was sort of Herod's like his beginning speech is princes, prelates of price, and that made me think, yeah, he's out to kill some.
Yes, when you've got alliteration of lots of plosives, it does give the language a really explosive kind of quality to it. Like he's almost spitting out the lines, and also the rhyme scheme, having had this beautiful, lovely, quiet rhyme scheme all through, really regular all through the Three Kings play. We're immediately now thrown into this situation where the rhyme scheme, it keeps changing, it's getting quite complex, and then it's swapping and we're going to something else. So like the mood is shifting, there's highs and there's lows, and there's lots of different emotional tones coming through. Lynn, what did you want to say?
I was going to say, even if Herod himself doesn't tell you who he is, the fact that everyone around him is like, oh, you're such a great king, oh, you're so you're so handsome, comely. I mean, like everybody, the Preco and the soldiers, all what we now call managing up.
Yeah.
Trying to do damage control for their toxic boss.
Yeah. Like they're all basically toadying around, aren't they? Yeah. It's Alan.
Yeah, I must admit, I think at the end of the play 8, Herod was sort of working permanently on volume setting of 11. I think he's gone back to about a 9.
Okay. Yes, well, he's got to have somewhere to go.
Yeah, yeah. But he certainly, I think he's one of these who perpetually operates at a pretty high level of stress and entitlement.
Yeah, well, certainly since he found out that there's this king being born who is going to steal all his thunder, probably his crown, or that's the terms that he thinks of it in anyway. So yeah. Right, well, shall we see what he does next? I broke you off in mid-speech, Alan, apologies for that, but we've had the arrival of the soldiers, the knights, and now he's going to consult somebody else, so do carry on.
But had they come again, all 3 traitors should have been slain, and also that the swain, and all for his sake. Out, alas, what may this be? For I know not which is he. Therefore, all knave children in this country, on them shall fall the wreak. But we know not that child well, though we therefore should go to hell. All the children of Israel, we deem them to be slain. Counsellor, what is thy rede?
Deem them, Lord, for to be dead, for that is best as I had bread to catch that thither swain. Command your knights anon to high, to go to the land of Galilee, and into the land of Judah, to slay all they may find.
That was well said, my counsellor, but yet I burn as doth the fire. What for wrath, what for ire, till this be brought to end. Therefore, my knights, good and keen, have done. Believe, go wreak my teen. Go slay that shrew, let it be seen, and you be men of Maine. Please manfully what they have been, that none away from thee you fleen. Drive down the dirty arses all bedeen, as soon as they were slain. So shall I keep that vile conjoin, and that this would relieve me of my crown? My bachelor's sake you bound, and found to save my right. You must hie you out this town, to Bethlehem as fast as you mon. All knave children by my crown, you must slay this night.
Alas, Lord and King of Bliss, send you after us for this? A villainy it were, and which for my fellow and me to slay a shitnar shrew, a lad might his head off hew. For Rebotus are not in this row, but knights of great degree.
My lief lord of great renown, we shall wreak you if we mon. Whether he be knight or champion, stiffer than ever Samson was, sickly I shall drive them down. But for to kill such a cajoin, me shame sore, by Saint Mahound, to go in any place.
Nay, nay, it is neither one or two that you shall slay as mote I go, but 1,000 yet, and yet mo. Take this in your mind, because I know not which this shrew is. Therefore, lest you of him miss, you must stay forsooth iwis all that you may find. You shall walk far and near into Bethlehem, spare for no beer, all knave children within 2 year and 1 day old. Slay them down, both one and all, so shall you meet with that stall that would my kingdom claim and call, and my wealth also weld.
It shall be done, Lord on high, none shall be left witterly. We shall go search by and by in Bethlehem all about, and wreak your teen full tenderly. Leave none unslain, sickerly, so shall we soon that shrew destroy, to keep him in the rout.
And we have a stage direction. The soldiers go and they travel. And we're just going to stop there for a moment and take all that in. Wow. So the fiendish plot has been revealed. For those who didn't know it already, Herod is so threatened by the birth of this baby that's been foretold that he's just gonna send his soldiers out to slaughter all the babies, because he doesn't know which one it is, but you know, if he kills them all, he's got to get him sooner or later.
Yeah.
And
he's gonna take my money.
Yeah.
He's gonna take my wealth.
Yes.
Yeah.
So clearly this is a suitable response. Yeah, we're back to some quite, for a mystery play, some quite heavy characterization here. There's this. I was just, as we record this in the early 2020s, there's a lot of talk about despots and would-be despots and tyrants, and people being the adults in the room, advisors and so forth being the adults in the room, and I think this play has just. Pointed out quite clearly that really, when you've got someone who is so bent on tyranny, being the adult in the room doesn't really work.
Yeah.
You've either got to roll over.
Oh, can we slow this down? And the person in charge says no. We're doing it.
Yeah, don't care if there's no glory in killing babies. You're going to do it anyway. And so they're like, yeah, okay. And this is how it rolls with a tyrant. Anyone got anything else to add at this stage? No, yay, Elizabeth. Sorry, it's because on my screen you're very, very small. So you need to wait. Yes.
I don't like it. Like I don't think it's like a good thing, but I just think it's so dramatic and so tense and so biblical. This like slaughter of the innocents, and it happens like several times in the Bible, doesn't it? And this one was like they were after Jesus. I know the other one that's really famous is when the Pharaoh was after Moses, and he wanted to get rid of the firstborn, not the firstborn, the children in Egypt. I think that was one.
Yeah. I'm not Lynn. You're better at the Bible than I.
The only episode from the Old Testament that I think this could be is when actually God, the angel of death,
firstborn,
killed all the firstborn Egyptian children, but spared the children of the Jews because they had painted the blood of the lamb on the door lintels.
That was the Passover, wasn't it?
Wasn't Moses put in a basket and that saved him from the slaughter?
What was that about? His mother put him in a basket to save him, and then the Pharaoh's daughter found him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clearly, we are not the greatest biblical scholars here. If you have anything to add in the comments below the video, if you would like to set us straight on any of our commentary here, then please do. Sorry, Elizabeth, carry on.
Yeah, I was just saying, like it's so dramatic and it's so tense, and it gives you a sense of like how intense a character Herod is. But what is with this doctor who just kind of whispers into his ear? Do you know what you should do? This is the most horrible thing I can think of. You do this horrible thing. And I thought that's the first time I've ever seen like someone tell Herod to do the horrible things. Because we get a sense that Herod is just nasty and he would think up the most awful thing to do. But we have the doctor kind of whispering in his ear, and I like that element. I know another dimension to it.
It does, and it does make it more dramatic because you're right. It's not actually his idea. It's somebody else's. There are so many parallels I could draw with modern politicians, but I'm not going to. Lynn.
Yeah, I just Googled really quickly. Yes, that Moses' mother put him in a basket to save him from an edict that the Pharaoh had handed down, that the firstborn child or firstborn son, I presume, should be executed. And if I remember now, it's like the Jews were being too fertile or whatever. Like, our enslaved people are becoming so numerous they might rebel. So it was sort of rather ham-fisted population control, if I remember correctly. So Pharaoh. So Herod is a reiteration of Pharaoh. The death, the innocence.
So well remembered, Elizabeth, and thank you, Lynn, for looking it up. Alan.
Yeah, I think this doctor is probably the same one we saw the 2 plays ago, who was in audience with Herod, was basically bricking it. Because anything he said that was taken as being possibly not in line with what the boss wanted was provoking yet another outrage of wrath from Herod.
He was fairly harmless in that play, though. I mean, he wasn't like he was sort of saying, "Oh, this is the prophecy. Please don't kill me. This is what it says. He's going to be cool. He's going to be great. He's going to be amazing. He's basically going to be God on earth, and he's going to steal all your thunder."
But the doctor has learned by experience that upsetting the boss ain't necessarily a good career move.
Yeah, well, could be, but yes, he's undergone quite a miraculous personality change, not for the better. If it is him, but you could certainly play it as the same character if you were staging several of these plays together as one piece, which would work. Eric.
Well, also right before the doctor speaks, Herod is going, "Oh yeah, everyone involved with this should be killed," and then Herod goes, "All the children of Israel, we deem them to be slain." And then he asks, "Oh yeah, so what do you think?" And Doctor goes, "Yeah, I totally agree with you. I'm not here. I'm just I'm here to I have this thing."
Yeah, that's a really good observation. Yeah, because so it's like, yes. I think we should slay all these children, but I want to take your counsel. What do you think? And you can imagine he's got him up against the wall, like with his sword out. Like, what do you think I should do? Oh, just kill them all. It's a very good point. Anyway, if no one has anything else to add, let's continue. So the soldiers have gone off on their travels, and we're still with the first soldier as they make their way to Bethlehem.
Whatever this word is.
Rooks. Is it?
Rooks.
Rich you
Books,
array.
I would use.
Rooks, rich you to array to Bethlehem, that borrow I am bound. With this spear, I think to essay to kill many a small huion. If any black-lipped boys may be in my way, they shall rue it by mighty Mahood, though all they world should say nay, I myself shall ding them all down. If you will wot what I hight, my name is Sir Waradrake the Knight. Against me dare no man fight, my dense they so dread. But fain would I fight my fill, as fain as falcon would fly, my lord to wreak at his will, and make those dogs to die. These cudgeons in their clouts I will kill, and stoutly with strokes them destroy. She shall never one scape by my will, all babes for that boy full sore shall buy. Shall never none overpass of 2 years' age, and less, and this boy that king crowned was, shall not scape without scathe.
And I also without boast, though the King of Scots and all his host were here, I set not by their boast, to drive them down Bedeen. I slew 10,000 upon a day of Kemps in their best array. There was not one escaped away, my sword it was so keen. Therefore to me you take good keep, my name is Sir Grimbold, launcher, deep. They that me teen I lay to sleep, on each aside. I slew of Kemps, I understand, more than 100,000, both on water and on land, no man dare me abide. Though Bethlehem I will spring, through Bethlehem I will spring, for I must now at your bidding, right all down shall I ding, these lads every one. And then that false geldling, that born was so young, he shall for nothing away from us gone.
Farewell, my lord, and have good day, for hardly thus dare I say, not for no boast in good fay, it is not my manner. I would I might find my way, Samson in his best array, to look whether I durst affray, to fight with him right here.
Nay, nay, I know well or thou swear, but thou art a doughty man of war, and though Samson were here, soon he should be slain. Yet my wit is in wear, whether you shall find that losing here, but speed you fast for my prayer, and hie you fast again.
And we have another stage direction that says exit soldiers, and this is interesting because the last stage direction was the soldiers go and they travel, and I just assumed that they'd left Herod's court at that point. But actually it seems that they hadn't, which is kind of important for these speeches, because if they're saying these speeches about how they're going to kill everybody to Herod, that's very, very different to than if they're saying them after they've left his court. So, but Herod reappears afterwards, so I'm assuming that that earlier stage direction was just wrong. Now they have exited, and we have the entrance of an angel.
Joseph, arise, and that anon into Egypt thou must go, and Mary also from your phone. This is my Lord's will. There stay, lest this child be slain, till I warn thee to come again. False Herod would have you fain, Jesus for to spill.
Oh Lord, blessed most thou be, thither anon we will flee. Have we company of thee, we will hie on our way.
Yea, company we shall you bear till that you be come there. Herod busks him to you to dear as far as ever he may.
Mary, sister, now we must flit. Upon my ass shall thou now sit. Into Egypt that we hit, the angel will us lead.
Sir, evermore loud and still, your talent I shall fulfill. I wot it is my Lord's will. I do as you me read.
Come now forth in God's name. I shall you shield from all shame, and you shall see my leaf dame, a thing to your liking, for Muhammad's both on one and all, that men of Egypt gods could call. At your coming down shall fall when I begin to sing.
And we have a stage direction. They go away, and the angel sings, behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud. And we'll stop there just for a moment. Apologies for the we've had quite a lot of racism in there. We've had a lot of casual racism in these plays, because all the evil characters are constantly swearing by Mahound or Muhammad, even though that's obviously historically not correct. Muhammad won't come along for several hundred years yet, but nevertheless, it's all in there. And we have this really disturbing line as well about any black-lipped boys, which why would you put that in there? Like, because they're going to kill all the children. So, like, what's that all about?
No idea. And like, oh, I feel
Yeah.
dirty because I had to say that.
Yeah. It's obviously, if we were putting this on today, I think we would probably cut that line.
I was
It's.
wondering if it was just a reference to like domestic violence, because like when you give someone a black lip, I don't know. That's what it was.
But again, why would you be singling out?
Before they got murdered? Why would?
Yeah. To be honest, it's just playing into the whole atmosphere of this play, which is really disturbing, and of course we would expect it to be because it's the massacre of the innocents. But the play's not pulling any punches, is it? I don't think. There's lots of dwelling on what's going to happen, and then we have this scene where the angel appears to Joseph and Mary, and it's like the stakes are raised there because of what's come before. I feel like structurally this is quite effective because you've had all that stuff, even though the killing hasn't started yet. The threat of it, the dread of what's to come is enough that, when the angel appears to Joseph and says, flee, you're just like, oh, thank God, but of course it's only one child that's going to be saved. Eric.
Yeah, I know. It's just like there's a part of me going, could you not have been more practical? Just like, appear to Herod and freak him out or something, But obviously that's not how the story goes. So.
Indeed. Anyone got anything else to add? Lynn, you look like you might have something to say, and Elizabeth does. Yay.
Yeah, like what Eric said was really interesting. Was like, you get this sense of like, why doesn't the angel go and like tell Herod to like just die or something, and then just like stop the slaughter of the innocents? And there's lots of like, moments in the Bible when it's like that, where you get divine intervention, but not in the way you would hope for, the way you would expect. And I just feel like they were just saving Jesus for later, because he does die like a grim death later, just decades later. And I feel like it's almost like time catches up with him, that even though he gets saved from this slaughter, he doesn't get saved from his eventual slaughter.
Yeah, well, let's not get into the psychology of the Bible. It's making for very compelling drama, I have to say. Even though this is, even though this was written to be performed up on wagons in the open air to a huge audience and sort of bellowed at the audience, it's certainly pushing my buttons. Eric.
I know that like Angel Song is supposed to be like amazing, brilliant, and so on, but I couldn't help but think like, he's saying, when I start to sing, shit is gonna go down. It's just like his voice is that bad. I don't know. Yeah, maybe not.
It would definitely be it would be one choice. I have a feeling shit is gonna go down right now. Elizabeth.
Speaking of shit going down, wasn't there like a comment of like a shit and ass knave or something?
Yes.
True.
Yeah.
Shit and ass true. I was like, that is so offensive.
Yeah. There's a lot of like, and again, it's all those like really. It's not plosive, but it's like it's like it's all that kind of. It's like you're spitting out the words. It's quite nasty, isn't it? Yeah. It's like, I think I'm with Lynn. It's making me feel a bit dirty. Was that your hand, Lynn, going up there?
Yeah, that was, again, why do I have to say these gross lines? I get the gross line. Drew that straw today. It serves two functions. The soldier who a moment ago was saying, whoa, really? You want us to do that? Is now saying, I'm gonna kill them bitches. So, it's a shift in his character, or at least he's putting this on for Herod. So it makes him seem really, really awful and really nasty, that he's not only going to execute innocent people, he's demeaning them before it even happens. And but I think it's also something that people in war zones and like that and situations like that in violent situations do is they demean their victims. She's a bitch, she's a whatever.
Yes, they have to dehumanize them in order to kill them.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, we see that in early modern drama, that when there's violence directed against children, they're always called a brat.
Yeah. The journey of these soldiers is quite interesting, because they started off, as these knights, and they were like, oh, there's no glory in killing children, and then they gradually start to repeat Herod's language back to him, and then sort of try and outdo him, which of course is what toadies do. And then and this is why I flagged up the fact that earlier stage direction, I think, was maybe wrong, or at least I misinterpreted it, because I misinterpreted it as the soldiers go when they travel, that they'd actually left the court, and they clearly hadn't. And I think it's really important that that's clear, that scene where they are really being so nasty, Herod is still there at that point. But there is this sense that the longer they stay with him, and the more they say what he wants them to say, and what they say what he wants to hear, that the more their own souls are being corrupted by being around them, because they're undergoing quite a transformation. Did I see your hand there, Eric? No.
I was just scratching my head, but I was going to say
scratching your head.
He's contagious, I guess, and also kind of if they, I guess the whole they travel and go might be that they're going to muster the rest of the army, because it wouldn't just be the two of them. Could be, or they're putting on their armor or whatever.
It's not very clear, but you could certainly interpret it that way. Right, okay, let us move on. Gird your loins, folks. I think it's only going to get worse. So the angel has gone after doing his singing, and we start with the first soldier, Primus Miles.
Hast done, fellows, heist cast, that these queens were downcast, and their children all to thrust, and kill them all to clouts.
Yea, sir, we dwell too long. Therefore go we them among. They hoping to have some wrong that gone so fast about us.
Whom call'st thou queen, scabbard bitch? Thy dame, thy drister, was never such. She burned a kiln each stitch, yet did I never none.
Be thou so hardy, I thee behead to handle my son that is so sweet. This distaff and thy head shall meet, or we heathen gone.
Dame, abide, and let me see a knave child, if that it be. The king has commanded me all such for to arrest.
Arrest? Ribbit for thee, thou lies by my luty. Therefore I read fast that thou flee, and let me have my peace.
Say, rotten hunter, with thy goad, stibben, style, and stick-toed, I read that thou no wrong hast bode, lest thou beaten me. Whereto should we longer fode? Lay we on them large load, but their bassinets be big and broad. Beats on now. Let's see.
Dame, thy son in good fay, he must of me learn a play. He must hop, or I go away upon my spear end.
Out! Out and well away, that ever I abode this day. One stroke yet I will essay to give all that I wend.
Out on thee, thief, my love, my lord, my life, my lief. Did never man or woman grieve to suffer such torment? But yet broken will I be. Have here 1 or 2 or 3, bear the king this from me, and that I it him send.
Come hither to me, Dame Parnell, and show me here thy son Snell, for the king hath bid me quell all that we find mong.
My son? Nay, strong thief, for as I have good prief, do thou my child any grief, I shall crack thy crown. But then we have a stage direction, and it says the soldier kills the child on his spear. And the first woman continues, Out, and woe is me. Thief, thou shalt hanged be. My child is dead. Now I see my sorrow may not cease. Thou shalt be hanged on a tree, and all thy fellows with thee. All the men in this country shall not make thy peace. Have thou this, thou foul harlot, and thou knight, to make a knot, and on buffet with this boot thou shalt have to boot, and thou this, though thou both shit and piss, and if thou think we do amiss, go busks you to moot.
Dame, show thou me thy child there, he must hop upon my spare, and if it any pintle bear, I must teach him a play.
Nay, freak, thou shalt fail, my child, thou shalt not assail. He hath 2 holes under the tail, kiss and thou mayest say. Be thou so hardy, stock-toed, to bide any wrong or boat, for all thy spear and thy goad, I rede ye do but good. For and thou do me any harm, or my child upon my arm, I shall found to keep thee warm, be thou never so wooed.
And the stage direction says the soldier kills the child.
Out! 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 You shall all be hanged, all the rout thieves you never so stout. Full foul you have done, this child was taken to me to look to. Thieves, who be ye? He was not mine, as you shall see, he was the king's son. I shall tell while I may dry, his king was slain before my eye. His child was slain before my eye. Thieves, ye shall be hanged high. May I come to his hall, but or I go, have thou one and thou another, Sir John, for till the king I will anon to plain upon you all.
And then the second woman goes to Herod.
Lo, Lord, look and see the child that thou took me. Men of thy own country have slain it here the bean.
Fie or fie! God give thee pine. Why didst thou not say the child was mine? His vengeance, as drink I wine, and that is now well seen.
Yes, Lord, they see well right, thy son was like to be a knight, for in gold harness he was dight, painted wondrous gay, yet was I never so sore affright when they their spears through him thright. Lord, so little was my might when they began to fray.
He was right sicker in silk array, in gold and peer that was so gay. They might well known by this array he was a king's son. Devil is this to say, why were thy wit so far away? Couldst thou not speak? Couldst thou not pray, and say it was my son? Alas, what the devil's all this to moan? Alas, my days be now done. I wot I must die soon, but damned I must be. My legs rotten, and my arms, I have done so many harms, that now I see a fiend's swarms from hell coming after me. Done so much woe, and never good, sith I must go. Therefore I see now coming my foe, to fetch me to hell. I beseech, bequeath thee here in this place, my soul to be with Secundus. I die now, alas, I may no longer dwell.
And we have a stage direction of the demon entering, but before he does, let's just stop there for a moment and just take a moment, shall we, to go back and gather ourselves after that. Yowlies. I mean, yeah, you can't do the Massacre of the Innocents in a way that isn't really violent and really disturbing. I mean, if you tried, you wouldn't be doing your job. But the fact that these mothers have such a big role to play and really fight back, it just ups the ante even further, doesn't it? And just makes it even more like you just kind of, I can imagine there are a few people watching it through their eyes in the audience. What are people's thoughts about this? Alan?
Yeah, I have a feeling in one of the other cycles, the similar play, the Massacre play, in there is actually an explicit stage direction that the two women lay about the soldiers with distaffs, pots and pans, and anything else they can lay hands on.
Yeah, do you know, that's ringing a vague bell with me as well. I think I was maybe there for that one. I can't remember if it was N Town or what's the other one? Wakefield, is
York.
it? Oh, York. Yeah. But I do. Yeah, that is ringing a bell. And this side plot with one of the children that the soldiers have killed turning out to be Herod's son, is that apocryphal? Is that like where did that come from? Is that just a bit of soap opera that that they've thrown in there to ratchet up the drama like it needed it?
Yeah. First I've heard of it. Yeah.
I don't recall it from the biblical authorized version, but it may exist in part of the Apocrypha. But if not, as you say, it's good soap opera stuff, isn't it?
It's real EastEnders, isn't it? Eric.
Well, also, if it's echoing the Pharaoh story, I seem to remember that if the slaughter of the firstborn or by disease or whatever it was had also killed the Pharaoh's son. So if it's mirroring that, then
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, good point. Good point. Whew, yeah. I wonder how they did this. I wonder how they staged this with these, I mean, the with the children on the ends of the spears. I mean, they would be up on a wagon, so you could get away with like fake kids, but like even so, like yeah, um, all highly distressing. Um, but it seems Herod is going to get his comeuppance. Not only has his son been killed in this version, at least, but he's now about to be dragged to hell, and we have to do that deed. We have the entrance of a demon.
War, war, for now unwarily wakes your woe, for I am swifter than the doe. I am coming to fetch this lord you fro, in woe ever to dwell. And with this crooked cambrac your back shall I clow, and all false believers I burn in a low, that from the crown of the head to the right toe I leave no hole fell. From Lucifer, that lord, I am sent to fetch this king's soul here present. To hell bring him there to be lent, ever to live in woe. There fire burns Blow and Brent. He shall be there, this Lord Variment. His place evermore therein is hent, his body never to go fro. No more shall you, tapsters, by my luty, that fill their measures falsely, shall bear this Lord company, that they get none other grave. I will bring this into woe, and come again, and fetch mo, as fast as I may go. Farewell, and have good day.
And the stage direction says, exit demon with Herod. And we have the appearance of an angel.
Joseph, arise, and that in high, for dead is now your enemy. Take Jesus the child and eke Mary, and wend it to Judy. Herod that would have had you slain, he's marred both might and main. Therefore hies you home again, in peace you now shall be.
Ah, Lord, that madest all of naught, it is skill thy will be wrought, now is dead that us has sought. We shall never cease, till that we again be at home in our country. Now hope we well to live in lee, and in full great peace. Mary, sister, we must go to our land that we came fro. The angel hath bidden us so, my own dear sweet. On my ass thou shalt be, and my mantle under thee. Full easily, sister, leave thou me, and that I thee behead.
Thank you, sir, as I can. Help me that I were upon he that is both God, man, keep us in his tide.
Come hither, dear heart root, I shall soon be thy boot. Thou shalt soon ride each foot, and I will go by thy side.
Now you be ready for to go, Joseph and Mary also. Forsooth, I will not depart you fro, but help you from your foe. And I will make a melody and sing here in your company. A word was said in prophecy 1,000 years ago. Out of Egypt have I called Philomeum that will preserve me unto my people Israel.
Very good, thank you. I think, was that the voice of God at the end? I think there. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I think it's a
Um,
song cue.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But anyway, that is the end of the play. And after all the violence and then all the drama of Herod being carted off by a demon to hell, which is very nice, I think. I kind of enjoyed that. I'd be interested to see how you could stage that with lots of drama. We've then got this quite quiet ending. It's a bit of a relief, isn't it, after everything that's come before? What are people's thoughts about that ending? Elizabeth.
I thought the story of Herod, not that this is wrong or anything, was that he was like eaten by worms, that he was eaten alive. Is that wrong?
You're asking the wrong person, Lynn. Do you have anything to say about this?
We've had it in another mystery play.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot in these mystery plays that isn't in the Bible. I can't stress this enough. But yeah, I don't know if he was meant to be eaten by worms or not. If you know at home, let us know in the comments. Yeah, but we have quite a nice bit with this demon. He drags him off to hell, and he does drag it out, doesn't he? He kind of, he makes the most of it. Whoever was playing this, he was like, right, I've got 3 stanzas. I'm gonna make the most of these. I wonder, did they, like when they were staging it, did they drag him off the wagon? Were there loads of people, like extras dressed up as demons, who kind of came and sort of pulled him down and carried him off like through the crowd? That would be quite good, wouldn't it? Alan.
Subject to budget constraints.
Yeah. Indeed.
I do feel like the demon is quite polite compared to the angel. The angel just turns up and goes, "I'm amazing," whereas the demon goes, "I'm gonna drag this guy to hell and then have a nice day."
Yes. Comes in very workmanlike, does his thing. It seems to enjoy doing his thing, it has to be said. And I do like I do like the angel's last line, "Farewell and have a good day." He's quite polite, isn't he? Yeah. And then we have this really interesting exchange with Joseph and Mary. I've noted before, I don't think I've said it out loud, that every time Joseph addresses Mary, he refers to her as sister, which I suppose is just a really nice way of showing that, she's still a virgin, that she's not actually his wife in the biblical sense. Yeah. Lynn.
Well, 2 things just to respond to that. In the Hebrew Bible, in the Song of Songs or something, where it's basically sort of a love poem or a marriage poem. The speaker says more than once, "My sister, my spouse."
Right, okay.
But that phrase is actually the phrase "my sister, my spouse" is from Hebrew love poetry. So I don't know what to make of that. But that. Yeah, but there's that. But going back to Herod, according to Wayne Jackson, writing for the Christian Courier, Herod died in a most dramatic fashion. Josephus, who was I think a Hellenized Jew who was a historian, states that a loathsome disease descended upon the ruler as a judgment from God on account of his sins. He describes the horrible details: burning fever, ulcerated entrails, foul discharges, convulsions, stench, etc. So the historical record, not scripture, recalls that Herod the Great died in this horrible, painful manner.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Yeah,
it's happened to a nice guy.
So whether it's worms or Eric's put in the chat dysentery. Yeah, sounds like it could be whether it's worms or dysentery or being dragged to hell by a demon. He does not
Doesn't end well.
it doesn't end well for him, and quite rightly
good.
so. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like we've been on a bit of a roller coaster with that one. How are people feeling about it overall? I think we're almost into final thought time. Alan, what do you have to say?
Yeah, you were talking about potentially sanitizing this play for racism and so on.
Well, there was one line I think that I would take issue
I
with.
think any level of sanitization on the play on the Massacre of the Innocents is not going to address the major problem with it, because the problem is basically the theme of it. The fact you get gratuitous racism and whatever else in there as well, you've probably just got to leave it as an artifact of its time.
Well, I think that would be down to the individual director as to what they wanted to do with it. But I personally feel that cutting one line isn't going to take away from any of the horror or distress of the play. And I mean, yeah, it's meant to be distressing, isn't it? It's meant to be it's meant to be one that you kind of that the audience looks at through their eyes. And I do, having now read sort of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 5 on the trot. I am seeing I think the play, the fact that the first play we did today, the Three Kings play, the Mercers play, was so tranquil. I think that has to be deliberate. Yeah, that can't have just been a fortuitous coincidence. I think that was like a deliberate attempt to calm down the audience before this and give them a bit of a break. Maybe. What do other people think, or is it just the way it's turned out?
No, I think it is very deliberately a decompressing one, and it's giving a nice variety. I think it's fortunate in some ways we've read this, because if you think about it with the two previous plays, with 7 and 8, you got the Shepherd's play, the first bit of which was basically a rural comedy, which was quite gentle, and then play 8, which was Herod doing full blessed.
Lynn?
I just wanted to go back to this one point in the demon's speech. This is sort of a non sequitur now. So I'm dragging Herod to hell, from whence he no more shall go. Nor more shall you, tapsters by my luty that fill their measures falsely, shall bear this Lord company and get none other grave. And then he says, and I'll keep coming back. It's just like, I'm really busy. Like, I come and I drag this person to hell, and I come back and I drag that. But the one category that are mentioned explicitly is people who don't fill your beer phone.
Yeah, exactly. No, you people who pour out half measures. Yeah, don't fill up the glass to the top. It's true.
There are people who were stereotypically reputed to be dishonest in medieval and early modern times. Millers were the only person who had a scale, so you had to take the miller's word for it that you had this much grain, and they were sort of notorious for cheating people.
Oh, Lynn.
And tapsters were sort of notorious, deservedly or not, for underserving and overcharging. But no, he doesn't talk about users or people who are violent or anything like that. No, tapsters who don't fill your glass.
Tapsters. Yeah. And you can imagine that, because you can imagine the demon would probably get a round of applause when he arrives anyway, just because he's come specifically to drag. Herod's already said, "Oh my God, I'm going to be dragged to hell." So when the demon appears to drag him to hell, he's going to get a round of applause. And you can imagine that he delivers that line very much to the audience and probably gets a great big cheer. We've talked before about like the origins of panto being embedded in these mystery plays, and yeah, that's maybe one of those moments. Any other final thoughts? Let me go around the room and ask. Alan, do you have anything to add?
Not much to add, I don't think.
Very good. Eric, any final thoughts?
I think I enjoyed the sort of violent ones way too much. Just because, and like the Shepherd's play, like I think it was number 7, was hilarious. Then like there was, well, this one is not hilarious, but it's kind of, I don't know, bad characters are more fun to play,
It's certainly very, it might not be hilarious, but it's certainly very dramatic. Yeah, very, very, very chewy. But it would be interesting to see. It'd be interesting to see what play 11 had. Whether we go back to quite a quiet one after this. I have no idea. By the way, that delight is still to come. Lynn, do you have any final thoughts?
Just that it's kind of easy to see for me now why this form of drama remains so popular for so long. I mean, the mystery cycles were presented year after year for a long time. It's a little something for everybody. We have like the rural comedy, like Alan was saying, with like knockabout comedy, and we have probably some really lovely musical features. There's some singing in this explicitly that I don't remember seeing in other mystery cycles, and there's something really quite musical about the kings and their offerings, and you have the scenery chewing evil king, and you have sort of more lyric moments and tender moments between Joseph and Mary. So there's a lot of variety. There's a little something for whatever your taste in drama is, and nothing lasts for very long. So if you're kind of not into the knockabout comedy, or if like you really don't, it's like death and torture aren't your thing, you can just wander off for 15 minutes and then come back and it's over. So yeah, just sort of this form. I can see why it had such long legs.
Yeah. I do like that idea. It's like, okay, it's the Massacre of the Innocents. I'm just going to pop to the pub. I'll see you in 15 minutes. I'll be back for the flight into Egypt. Yeah. It's a good point. Yeah. And there is something for everyone. And I mean, again, and I guess this is because all the different guilds were creating or commissioning someone to create the different plays, but the variety is, a real strength, as you were saying. Elizabeth, do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, I found it very compelling. I do find that the Massacre of the Innocents does like pull at my heartstrings. And this version, when the women are literally screaming for their children not to be killed, and then when they're murdered, like saying that they will be hanged. And then there's the whole thing about Herod's child that was killed. I just thought that was really dramatic. And I think it's something very, very early modern that they would show that. Nowadays, we go for like an abstraction, kind of like, so the screen might go black or something. Yeah. Whereas now it's like, for them to do that's quite daring, it's quite risque. I just thought it was just very moving. And there was a lovely contrast between the two plays as well.
Yeah, really, really amazing contrast. We've had our highs, we've had our lows. We've had the comedy, we've had the tragedy. We've made faces. I've made faces at various points, and also been lulled into by the most beautiful poetry. Eric, you have a final thought.
Yeah, well, because I was wondering, because you said like sort of, Lynn said like she appreciates how long legs this form had. I don't actually know what was around the time, but I kind of picture it sort of like a yearly carnival where you would have that kind of thing, where like a community working together towards this every year. or every other year, I don't know, depending on how it worked. Sort of like in, I don't know, Brazil, Venice, that kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think Alan knows more about this than I do. I don't know if they were performed every year, were they, or was it every other year, or
I'm not sure that we've actually got that data.
we don't know.
I
Yeah.
think it would have been conditional on the state of the economy,
Mm,
the state of
Right.
general health, because of course there were periodic plagues during this period.
mm,
And it was largely done. Corpus Christi period is the time, which is effectively late spring, early summer,
mm,
when you've got maximum amount of daylight,
Mm.
and also a period when the agricultural year was not actually running at full tilt as it would be for sowing or for harvest.
mm.
So it's done during a period of the year when there's probably a few more people available to do things
Mm.
and to
Wow.
come into town and so on. And I suspect was probably backed onto fairs and other sorts of things. I'm just trying to bring up our list of plays just to look at what else was around at the time, because I think this is putatively in the 1460s or thereabouts.
Mm.
There's not an awful lot of other stuff that we are aware of as have survived from that period.
Mm.
But there is always the open question of how much was going on that we don't know about because it's disappeared. And
Yeah.
by and large, it disappeared about the time of the Reformation
Mm.
because an awful lot of them were regarded as being politically incorrect and, in modern terms, I suppose, dangerously woke.
Quite possibly, but it's a gift to us that we still have this this Chester mystery cycle. Yeah, if anyone else has any further information about, I'm sure if Robert Crichton was here, he'd be able to give us chapter on verse on all of this. But he's not. He's not here today. You've had to put up with me. I'm so sorry. But if you have further information that you want to add, please do put it in the comment under the video. Anyone got anything else that they want to say? No. Right. Okay. Well, that's been quite a ride. I've enjoyed it. Weirdly, that's a weird thing to say about the Massacre of the Innocents, but overall, we've been looking over the last 3 videos now at Chester plays 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And there's been, as Lynn said, so much variety, something for everyone. And hopefully you'll be able to tune in and listen to more discussions and more readings of the next set of plays in the cycle very soon. All that remains is for me to thank the wonderful readers today for their reading and their wise comments. Thank you for joining us. Come back soon. Bye. That misbegotten marmoset.